In the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals, the Chicago Bulls finally overpower their longtime tormentors, sweeping the Detroit Pistons in 4 games. Michael Jordan averages 29.8 points, 5.3 assists, and shoots over 52% from the field, erasing years of playoff frustration. As Game 4 winds down, with 7.9 seconds still on the clock, Isaiah Thomas and most of the Pistons roster exit the floor without shaking hands, an unsportsmanlike protest against a power shift they helped define. The walk-off, televised live and endlessly replayed, is viewed by Bulls players and fans alike as a final insult, cementing the Pistons' bad boys image and casting a shadow over their legacy. A year later, the U.S. Olympic Committee builds the Dream Team and leaves Thomas off the roster despite his 2 NBA titles, 5 All-Star nods, and long resume of clutch performances. Jordan, who denies issuing a direct veto, later admits in interviews that his grudge played a role. "I hated them." And that hate carries even to this day. The tension lingers well past their playing years. In 2009, when Jordan is inducted into the Hall of Fame, he pointedly skips a handshake with Thomas, who's sitting just feet away. The grudge survives eras, trophies, and tributes, setting the tone for how NBA superstars settle scores beyond the court. Between 2000 and 2002, the Los Angeles Lakers win 3 straight championships with Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant anchoring the league's most dominant inside-out pairing. Shaq averages 28.5 points and 12.4 rebounds during that stretch, winning Finals MVP each time. But inside the locker room, tension builds as Kobe, 7 years younger and relentlessly intense, pushes for a bigger leadership role. Shaq criticizes Kobe's shot selection, while Kobe questions Shaq's conditioning. Their relationship fractures further in 2003, when O'Neal publicly calls himself the team's unquestioned leader and labels Bryant uncoachable. The breaking point comes after a second-round playoff exit in 2004. Phil Jackson steps away. The front office sides with Kobe, and Shaq is traded to Miami for a package headlined by Lamar Odom. 2 years later, in the 2005 All-Star Game, Shaq mocks Kobe in a freestyle chant, "Tell me how my ass tastes." Kobe never responds publicly but tightens his media image and doubles down on the "I eat first" mantra teammates attribute to him. The two briefly reconcile during the 2009 All-Star Game, even sharing MVP honors, but never fully resolve the resentment that defined their peak years together. Their feud is more than personal. It reshapes the Lakers' dynasty, fractures one of the NBA's greatest duos, and opens the door for San Antonio and Detroit in the mid-2000s. In the 2006 Eastern Conference first round, the Cavaliers face the Wizards in a tense, evenly matched series that reaches Game 6 with Cleveland leading 3-2. With 15 seconds left in overtime and Washington trailing by 1, Gilbert Arenas, averaging 29.3 points that season, steps to the free throw line for 2 shots. As he prepares, 21-year-old LeBron James walks up to him and quietly says, "Asterisk, if you miss these, you know who's gonna win it." Arenas is known for his confidence and streak scoring bricks both free throws. On the next play, Damon Jones hits the game winner off a LeBron assist, sealing the series. After the game, Arenas admits he lost focus when LeBron spoke to him, calling it one of the rare moments he felt mentally rattled on the court. The incident quickly becomes a defining moment in early LeBron mythology, a subtle psychological flex that flips a series. Years later, it lives on in memes and podcasts, often summed up by Arenas' own joke, asterisk, "Don't ever let that man talk to me again," asterisk. The win vaults LeBron into his first playoff series victory and positions him as a psychological threat, not just a physical one. That mental edge reappears in later rivalries, most notably in his showdown with a former MVP and teammate, Kevin Durant. On July 4, 2016, Kevin Durant announces his free agency decision in a Players Tribune article titled "My Next Chapter," joining the 73-win Golden State Warriors. The move shocks the league not just because of Golden State's record, but because it ends an 8-year partnership with Russell Westbrook in Oklahoma City. The Thunder had led the Warriors 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals just weeks prior, only to lose the series in 7. Westbrook, who had averaged 23.5 points and 10.4 assists that season, learns about the decision like everyone else online. Within hours, he posts a cryptic Instagram photo of cupcakes, a nod to an old team joke implying softness. The feud simmers publicly when the Warriors and Thunder first meet on November 3, 2016. Durant scores 39 points on 15 of 24 shooting and openly taunts the Thunder bench during dead balls. On the other end, Westbrook finishes with 20 points and 10 assists, but the Thunder lose by 26. When asked postgame, Durant claims there's no beef. Westbrook responds, "I'm coming," and wears a photographer's vest, another subtle dig at KD's off-court branding. At the 2017 All-Star Game, the two share a court but not a single pass between them. Even a lob dunk doesn't thaw the ice. Draymond Green jokes that their teammates are playing mediator. By 2019, with Westbrook traded to Houston and Durant nursing an Achilles injury, the feud gradually fades from headlines. Both players avoid escalating it further, with Durant later admitting he regrets how the Thunder exit unfolded. Still, the cupcake label sticks around in fan culture, and the relationship never fully returns to its pre-2016 chemistry. The Durant-Westbrook split doesn't just fracture a team, it reshapes the Western Conference's power structure and forces Oklahoma City into a full rebuild. That fallout continues to ripple when their next feud, Harden versus CP3, ignites in the Rockets' locker room. From 2015 to 2018, LeBron James and Stephen Curry face off in 4 consecutive NBA Finals, a stretch unmatched in modern rivalry history. Curry's Warriors take 3 of the 4, but LeBron's 2016 comeback remains the centerpiece. That year, the Cavaliers erase a 3-1 deficit, capped by James' chase-down block on Andre Iguodala with 1:50 left in Game 7. Curry, who fouls out later that game after a desperate strip attempt, gets ejected for the first time in his playoff career. The collapse gives Cleveland its first NBA title and dents Curry's image as an unstoppable offensive force. Tension lingers off the court. In private circles, LeBron reportedly dismisses Curry as not a threat, despite Steph winning back-to-back MVPs and setting a 402 three-pointer season record in 2016. Curry responds subtly in later interviews, saying LeBron's feelings were hurt by the Warriors' dominance and his own rise to face of the league status. The rivalry simmers quietly until 2021, when a play-in tournament game reignites the spotlight. Steph drops 37, but LeBron hits a deep, contested 3 to seal the win, telling reporters afterward he saw 3 rims. Neither forgets the finals, but both now play the feud with veteran detachment. The Warriors' resurgence under Curry in 2022 and LeBron's shift to a legacy-chasing phase soften the edges, but the rivalry remains rooted in statistical dominance and playoff control. On October 10, 2018, Jimmy Butler walks into Timberwolves practice after weeks of trade requests and tension with management. Rather than join the starters, he takes the court with the third stringers and humiliates the first unit, beating them in scrimmages, calling out effort and shouting directly at general manager Scott Layden, "UF*ing need me." The episode is electric, not just because of what happens on the court, but because it's immediately leaked. Within hours, ESPN publishes a detailed account of the meltdown, sourced with uncanny precision. Butler later admits he orchestrated the entire scene to send a message. The interview airs the same day with Rachel Nichols. The practice turns out to be Butler's final act in Minnesota. He's traded to Philadelphia less than 5 weeks later, and the Timberwolves struggle to recover. The team finishes 36-46, fails to make the playoffs, and fires head coach Tom Thibodeau mid-season. Karl Anthony Towns, a 7-foot all-star center averaging 24.4 points that year, never publicly responds in depth, but the damage sticks. For years afterward, Butler takes occasional shots online, mocking Minnesota's culture and toughness. The bad blood becomes less about one incident and more about two fundamentally clashing worldviews. The Timberwolves stall in mediocrity, while Butler reaches the finals twice with Miami. In the 2018 Western Conference Finals, the Houston Rockets hold a 3-2 lead over the defending champion Golden State Warriors. Chris Paul, then 33 years old and averaging 21.1 points and 5.8 assists in the series, injures his right hamstring with less than a minute left in Game 5. He misses Game 6 and 7, and Houston, who leads the league in three-point attempts, proceeds to miss 27 straight threes in Game 7. Golden State capitalizes, wins both remaining games, and eliminates the Rockets on their home floor. The series loss not only costs Houston a finals appearance, but also fractures trust between Paul and James Harden, who finishes second in MVP voting the next season but grows increasingly detached from his co-star. By the 2018-19 season, tensions rise behind the scenes. Harden prefers isolation-heavy sets, while Paul demands more structure and off-ball movement. In one closed-door shoot-around, the two reportedly engage in a loud argument over who controls the offense, escalating months of passive-aggressive resentment. After another playoff collapse, this time against the Warriors without Kevin Durant, Paul is traded to Oklahoma City in a move widely interpreted as a forced separation. Reports surfaced that Paul regularly mocked Harden's lack of defensive effort in film sessions. The two stars do not speak directly again until 2023, years removed from their peak, long after the Rockets' title window closes. The fallout signals a shift in how modern NBA duos implode on-court fit matters less than off-court politics, and Houston's title hopes dissolve as the Warriors' dynasty rolls on. In the early 1980s, the Los Angeles Lakers locker room divides along an unspoken line. On one side is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the 7'2" veteran center with 5 MVP awards and a deliberate, introspective demeanor. On the other is Earvin "Magic" Johnson, the 6'9" rookie point guard who electrifies the court with no-look passes and broad charisma. When Magic scores 42 points, grabs 15 rebounds, and dishes 7 assists to clinch the 1980 NBA Finals in Game 6 playing center in Kareem's absence, he earns Finals MVP at age 20. Kareem, sidelined with a sprained ankle, watches the coronation from afar and skips the trip to Philadelphia. While the media fixates on Magic's star power, Kareem feels eclipsed inside his own team. The contrast deepens over the next several seasons. Magic becomes the face of Showtime basketball, featured in national ads and post-game interviews. Kareem, who averages over 20 points per game through age 38, grows frustrated with the perception that he's a supporting act. Teammates and journalists note occasional tension, especially in moments when Magic's leadership style demanding and emotional clashes with Kareem's aloof reserve. But by 1985, after the Lakers defeat the Celtics in the finals for the first time in franchise history, both players begin to close the gap. Their shared dominance, with Kareem averaging 25.7 points during that playoff run, forces mutual respect. The chemistry stabilizes, and the Lakers win 2 more titles together before Kareem retires. Their feud never erupts publicly, but it shapes the early arc of Showtime. The contrast between an aging legend and a rising icon mirrors other generational power shifts still to come. In 1987, following a Celtics Pistons Eastern Conference Finals series that goes the distance, Isaiah Thomas offers a post-game remark that reshapes his public image. When asked about Larry Bird's dominance, Thomas responds, "If he were black, he'd just be another good guy." The line triggers immediate national backlash. Sports writers, fans, and even fellow players denounce it as racially charged and dismissive. Bird, who averages 27.1 points that series while leading Boston to the finals, replies without fanfare saying, "I know I'm white, but I'm not dumb." The NBA quietly lets the moment pass without suspension or fine, but the stain on Thomas's reputation hardens. Decades later, Thomas claims it was a joke gone wrong, whispered in a private moment with Dennis Rodman. The feud simmers through the late 80s and early 90s, as Bird and Thomas meet again in all-star games and player committees, never fully mending fences. When the 1992 Dream Team forms, Bird is selected without question, while Thomas is notably excluded, a decision Jordan and Pippen later admit they influence. Analysts cite locker room chemistry as the reason, but the undercurrent of that 1987 quote lingers. Though public relations smooth things over by the 2000s, Thomas's line resurfaces frequently in historical retrospectives and NBA documentaries. The controversy outlasts the rivalry itself and becomes shorthand for one of the league's most charged off-court moments. Bird retires in 1992 with 3 MVPs and global acclaim, while Thomas, despite his 2 rings, still faces questions about that one line. In 1993, Charles Barkley captures the league MVP with 25.6 points, 12.2 rebounds, and 5.1 assists per game, pushing the Phoenix Suns to a 62-20 record and the NBA's best overall mark. His reward is a finals date with Michael Jordan, who enters averaging 32.6 points per game, but without home court advantage. Jordan promptly averages 41.0 points across 6 games, the highest ever in a finals series, and closes Barkley out in Phoenix, hitting a game-winning assist to John Paxson and grabbing the final rebound. Despite their competitive clash, the two remain close throughout their playing careers, often golfing and publicly praising each other's games. For years, they stand as 2 of the league's most prominent and visible retired players. But in 2012, the friendship fractures. Barkley, now a TNT analyst, criticizes Jordan's front office performance as the Charlotte Bobcats owner, saying he surrounds himself with yes men and lacks basketball objectivity. Jordan doesn't respond publicly but quietly ends all communication. Barkley later reveals that when he reached out, Jordan simply said, "Asterisk. That's it. You can't say that about me." Barkley expresses regret, calling Jordan like a brother, but maintains that honesty is his job. As of 2025, the two have not reconciled, despite multiple mutual friends encouraging it. The silence between them highlights how easily respect can turn into rupture, especially when business reputations are involved. The next feud doesn't begin in front offices but on the court, as Dwight Howard's short-lived alliance with Kobe Bryant ends almost as soon as it begins. If you made it this far, you're one of the real ones. At B-Ball Decoded, we don't sugarcoat the past. We break it down, team by team, draft by draft, mistake by mistake. If you love deep NBA stories, critical breakdowns, and raw basketball truth, hit that like button, subscribe for more Team Deep Dives, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next.